I texted Larry.
Welcome to Leaf Sales with Ian Nethercott and Larry Feldman live.
If you look at the last 4 years again, we've answered 41 million phone calls for dealers over the last 4 years with our AI platform. We've also handled over 150 million text messages. And so when you look at just those raw numbers, that's a 4-to-1, 3.5, 4-to-1 text to phone call. So I don't know. Here's what I can tell you, though. I believe that the customer wants to be met where they are presently. If that is text, voice, video call, if they want to be engaged and engaged instantly.
I've been fortunate enough to be using Numa since square one, but my opinion, I like to meet the customers where they are, because if I choose my preference in terms of how I want to communicate with people, I'm going to eliminate a large portion of my potential customers. The customer calls in from the outside. There doesn't have to be a person on the other side of the conversation, and it will be a transcribed, recorded transcription of the message, which is important, and it's real time, 365 days a year. So we don't lose anything. The customers that prefer the phone and the customers that prefer the text may be two different people, but the nice thing about like Numa as an example is you got both of those people in one spot.
Appreciate it.
There you go. And we are live. And since we're talking about EVs tonight, I thought I would give you guys an update on the Canadian market for EVs, because the idiots in charge of the government want to let them in at a discounted tariff rate. So there's talk about 20 brands showing up in 2026 in terms of EVs, which is kind of interesting. I don't know what that's going to mean, but it definitely is interesting. So that's my thought on it.
How many of those are Chinese?
Well, that's what the tariff is about. So they'll all be Chinese.
So they're about to allow the Chinese to bring their cars in with the view of different, like what Ford's doing. That's how it's happening.
Yeah. So essentially, to give you some backstory, historically, there was a 100% tariff on EVs.
Mm-hmm.
So what they've done is they said, okay, well, we're going to reduce that tariff. I think it's to 15%. Don't quote me on it, but I think it's 15%. But they're limiting the amount of vehicles. But the reason that's interesting and the reason it's kind of scary simultaneously is those cars are going to be hard to control once they're on the ground. So as a used vehicle, once they're sold, the question then becomes, are those going to be sold through a dealer network? Are those going to be sold direct? And then what happens to them as a used car? So there's been lots of talk about, they're not going to be able to be driven outside of the country, but I just don't know how that's going to work. So now that you have that becoming a reality here, and it already is a reality in the Mexican market, what does that mean for the U.S.? So that's the big question that nobody has answers to yet.
Well, no, a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
If I may.
Yeah.
Because I read thoroughly on it about a week ago. The thing is that just like the Tesla model, that it was not dealer directly from Tesla to dealer.
Yeah.
And then Tesla to showroom and not to the dealer. But then they changed it the last 5 years or so, right? And now it's the same thing, that the Chinese are not want to go direct, and it's got to come to the dealership side. And I believe the Chinese was tariff was 200%.
Well, it used to be 100 here.
No, it's 200 in the U.S.
Yeah. So now they're saying it's going to be, less than I thought. Tariffs dropping from 100% to 6.1% for the first 49,000 vehicles.
Okay.
And they're going to say it's going to increase to 70,000 vehicles over 5 years.
Right.
That's their idea. So the entrants they're predicting are obviously BYD, NIO, XPeng, Geely, and SAIC. and SAIC, which also owns a brand you're probably familiar with, MGB. And if you're not familiar, Polestar is already a Chinese car brand.
But
So in a cold atmosphere, is that a great idea? I mean,
I don't think it's going to matter from a point of view of adoption, but what it does mean, which is why I bring it up, is when you talk, Gary, about pricing for EVs, and I'll use BYD as an example. BYD's low-cost EV landed is something like $25,000 before the tariff.
I was hearing they're 30 grand and they're really, really well-equipped vehicles. They're very, very nice vehicles at 30 grand.
Right, and they're designed.
Can I say I want to stay with where we are.
Yeah.
Some of the laws or some of the things that are getting legislation looks is that the franchise model is not going away, and that NAD, because you can't let these direct to market come and start selling when you don't have brick and mortar to have them repaired and having parts. So, I mean, I think that the restrictions are getting where it's going to be better for the franchise dealer. And because the franchise dealer is going to be the one that's going to be overseeing how these new EVs come into the market. So I'm hoping that the adoption is with franchise control and not out of control like we witnessed the last 5 years.
I stand corrected. BYD Seagull starting price is $10,500 Canadian or $7,800 US. And the BYD Dolphin starting price is $11,000 US.
Wow.
That's
So-
cheaper than the Hyundai Excel.
Yeah. Yeah. So even with the tariff, you're probably looking at cars in the sub $10,000 range.
Let's talk about EV nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm currently living it. So 4 years.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. So when COVID hit, I was finishing up a lease on an Infiniti QX60.
Okay.
So I had to give it back. Because they had no residuals, I couldn't do anything with it, so I gave it back. And I got a Mustang Mach-E.
Okay.
Okay, I wanted to learn about owning an electric vehicle. It was interesting, lots of good, lots of bad. New England, it was not ready to adopt it. Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, good old people up there, they want diesel and they want gas because they're running farm equipment, and they're not going to run farm equipment on batteries. So now I did it through one of their balloon programs, so I could get the $7,500 EV credit. Well, now my car for residual has an 18.4 buyout. And now I got a cracked windshield. Some of the rodents ate some stuff on my rubber on some of the air. So dealers don't want this vehicle. And so I'm getting offers of $10,000, $12,000 for this EV that I own, a 2021 with 47,000 miles on it, and nobody wants it.
Yeah.
And so because of my financial situation, I ended up just buying out the vehicle. So now I own a vehicle that I had a buyout at 18.4, and I'm going to pay it off. And, they said they'll do it at 2.25. So they saved me on interest, but I knew what I was getting myself involved in, and look at what happened with me. So how much damage control do we have out in the market where they sold cars to people that had no business being in an electric car at all? And now they're ruined. So that was a pretty bad experience. And I went with Ford because I wanted to be a local hometown Ford family owned American pride. and boy, did we all get shook. Government was just hell bent on their initiatives of going green, and so many individuals got buried in the storm. So I just, I know poor people are out there stuck in cars, and there's got to be better ways of selling cars today, as opposed to going 96 months and putting people in mortgages. And so, the EV solution at bringing vehicles in at $10,000, $15,000, well, that's the most affordable vehicles we've seen in years. So something has to give.
Well, that
I gotta say is BYD. BYD.
Yep.
BYD. Well, you're right.
BVD is the underwear. Okay. By the way, as a counterpoint, Harry, who works with us, is not the biggest EV advocate, but in the meantime, he got an EV and he loves it. Harry, we heard the point.
I'm driving an Ioniq 5, could be the best car I've leased. The quality, the handling. The only problem I have is during the winter, it's so cold here, the range dropped dramatically, about 25%. Normally I get 300 to 310 miles out of the full charge, but the car is wonderful. Would I have bought it? No, I leased it for 2 years.
Yep.
It's not my problem then. And it's costing me, I live in a luxury building, and to have an electric charger in the garage, it cost me $50 a month. I was spending a lot more on gas.
So for you, the solution, you had a place to park it. You're not all over the place. You're not commuting. That
Correct.
is a perfect scenario for somebody. And then what I've also heard with the Ioniq is for like $500, if your house goes down, you can back up your house and run your power on your house with your car. So Hyundai did a wonderful job with that particular vehicle. So I do agree with
Hyundai
you.
is far ahead of the American manufacturers with EVs.
Hyundai and Kia, no question about it.
Right.
And I think to your point, Harry, when you look at even when BMW got into that game a while ago, what they did is they said, I have a buddy who lives in San Francisco, and he was leasing one for like peanuts because they couldn't give these things away at the retail price. So what they were saying is, okay, if we make the lease affordable, maybe it makes sense. But the challenge they have is the same challenge Tesla has, is with the depreciation, what's going to happen at the end of that? Now, obviously, if you can do what Tesla's talking about, which is self-driving or whatever they're doing, robo-taxi maybe, but what the thing that's going to be real interesting is when you have a lower cost option, be that 20 grand or 30 grand or whatever, then I think, when you combine that with solid state, which is also coming on quickly, you will eventually see, a car that probably gets rid of the range anxiety, but also you have a used car opportunity, because if I'm a new car dealer and I can buy these things for peanuts, I can definitely, put them into people's hands as a used car, whether it be subprime or regular finance. The big question then becomes who takes the hit, right?
Hey, Ian, two things. One, Tony's with us.
Yeah.
And sometimes his time is a little
go ahead.
limited, so we should get him in. And we've got Craig White. Craig, it's good to see you. After Tony speaks, we'd love to hear your thoughts, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, great. Sounds good.
Larry, time caught me, and so no, I'm not going to my group, so I'll just catch up on the conversation and chime in later. Good to see you guys.
Okay, Mr. White, please tell us your thoughts.
Yeah. So back to Harry's problem. What kind of EV did you have? And your residual was 18 grand.
That was actually Harry Stillman, and it was a Mach-E.
It was a Mach-E. I did the 4-year balloon note, and I bought the car because I put it in my business name so I could get the EV $7,500 credit when they first came out. So
sure. And
I paid list for that vehicle. That's the other problem.
Well, everybody did back then. So.
Yeah.
So it's a 21.
Yeah, 21 Mach-E with 47,000 miles on it.
With I'd be surprised if MMR or wholesale wouldn't be 18 grand on that car.
Yeah, no, I mean, what car?
Is it a two-wheel drive or all-wheel drive?
It's all-wheel drive. CarMax, CarMax offered me like 15, and they still wanted to see it. You know, so I had it in the system.
So it's a premium?
No, it's like the 200 range. You know,
So I'm just talking about the model. So the GT Premium or a Select?
maybe probably the Select.
All right, so I'm on the auction site now, so hold on.
Okay, I'm a cobbler's children. You know that story.
Yeah.
Cobbler's children have no shoes.
So those cars are bringing 17, 18 grand at auction.
Okay, so maybe what I'm gonna have to do, which I've done in the past, is just retail it on my own.
Yeah, you can do it because estimated retail is like 21 grand.
Okay, so
you can retail out of that because that's the perfect price point that people were looking for because that's a payment car.
yeah. Well, I mean, I wanted to just turn it into one of my local dealers, and none of these guys wanted to play, and they were like, so fine. But all right, I mean, I've done that in the past, Craig. So thank you.
I'll tell you a quick story real quick, and I'll let somebody else talk here. So, so I just leased a new 26 Toyota BC all-wheel drive limited, and of course I work for a big publicly held automotive company. I'm not going to say who it is, but so I get some preferential treatment on pricing and that kind of thing. So, but I had a 2007 LX 470 with 260,000 miles on it. So y'all, if you guys are car guys, you'll know that's kind of a cult car. People really look for this thing. So I'd put it on Auto Trader, and for a month and a half, I didn't get a bid. Nobody even, not a call, not a question, not anything. I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and I had 40 requests within a half an hour. So I would put that car on Facebook Marketplace because there's plenty of people looking for EVs under 20 grand.
Well, I mean, for somebody who wants an EV, you can plug it in on a 110, and you don't need gas. You know, for some people that have a way to charge it through, an easy place to charge it, it's got its value.
Yeah, my gas prices went up, Gary.
Well, they
Yeah, no gas increase.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. For somebody who has, I mean, I drove it for four years. The problem that I used to have is that I was up in cold weather states, and the range would drop down 30, and you were spending all day just charging, But in certain situations, sunny California and Florida, I mean, if you have a place to charge your car, it's a wonderful benefit to not have to pay for gas anymore.
Yeah. So a lot of the newest software in the past 2 or 3 years, like the BC that I just leased out, they now have this option on the batteries. It's called pre-charging. So you can turn it on in cold weather areas like you guys are, say 20 or 30 minutes before you get to a charging station.
Nice.
And it'll warm up the battery to the optimum charging temperature so you can charge it much quicker.
It's I'm going to date myself. It's like the old Rabbit diesels.
Yeah.
You had to heat them up in the cold weather.
Yeah, that's right. You got to have block heaters.
You couldn't crank it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the same car that you have, Craig. 20. It's my second BZ. That car's great. And that limited that you have and that I have. Holy cats, does it have technology in it everywhere?
Yeah, it's got more than I can imagine. So
I got a killer lease on it. My payment went up $60 a month from the last one, but the last one was, what did I pay? 140 for the last one, and then this one is
the last one was free, Tony. We remember.
140. Wow, that's cheap. Wow.
It was almost like they were paying me to take it because I charge for free at the dealership. So
yeah, so do I.
It's a great deal, especially if you're an employee of a Toyota store.
Yeah.
That's the Toyota Electric or the Lexus Electric?
Really can't live with an EV.
Yeah, it's the equivalent.
Yeah.
Lexus.
We have a
Lexus
high
is the RZ. Yeah.
do our normal driving with trips.
I think that's it.
Got a lot of power too. It's 338 horsepower. Went up from 215 to 338, and man, when you punch it,
It'll go, yeah.
See,
Oh.
yeah.
That's the one thing with the car. I call it, it's the fastest golf cart that I ever drove. I mean, because they are quick. They're very nimble.
Mine's like a magic carpet, man. It doesn't even make any noise. It just goes shoo. Way
Yeah,
to
it's
go.
like a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And I think if you look at solid state coming in the next probably 18 to 24 months, you're going to see a bigger adoption because the charging time and also the amount of charge for the battery footprint is going to be dramatically increased.
Does
So I don't
anybody know if they're making the car so you can swap the battery out in the future?
That's another question. So if you look at those, let's just say the first generation Tesla models or the first generation Nissan Leafs that have been on the road, I think since 2005, 2006. There may be a market there because there's nothing to say the car isn't necessarily bad. It's the battery life, right? So if you get, let's just say you get 10 years out of those batteries, the batteries are, obviously expensive to replace because it's like your engine in a gas car. But if you can replace it with an upgraded battery, much like you do an upgraded phone, there's a big advantage there. Plus, there may be a recycle or some form of recycling cost or benefit to taking that old battery that maybe doesn't hold 100% charge that you could use and repurpose.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if they do have solid state replacement batteries in the future and not too far down the road. So it'd be great when my car's 10 years old, I could swap out my battery, my current lithium with a solid state. That'd be awesome.
Well, there's 3 companies working on it. So the Chinese are working on it. Tesla's working on it. And there's a guy, I think it's in Sweden. I was talking to him. He patented the in-wheel motors for electric cars. And they're now actually in pre-production for solid state. So you will see solid state probably in the next 18 to 24 months.
They have those in the robot lawnmowers, Ethan. Yeah. My customer's a robot lawnmower dealer, and they have the motors in the wheels on robot lawnmowers. It's really cool.
You also see some of these higher tech places where the batteries are just swapped out, like a little robot, where it comes and it lifts it and it pulls it down and it slides it out and it brings in the new one and pops it back in. It seems like some of these manufacturers have figured out some pretty seamless ways of swapping out those batteries. And how cool is that? Exactly what you said, Tony. I mean, you got a 10-year-old battery, the car's still in great shape. So you just upgrade to a different battery and you're on your way.
Well, what VinFast was doing before they came to North America was they were selling you the car and then leasing you the battery. So that might be initially, I don't think it worked in North America, but the battery is really what the big cost factor is. So if you could do a creative way to amortize that, or to offer a replacement, that may be a winning combination, even with.
There are still 20-year-old Priuses out there with the original batteries in them.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Subscription is going to start showing its head again now.
Tell me how many GM cars are going to last, gas cars that would last 20 years with the engine?
No.
0.0.
Yeah, there's not there, or they're rotted out. They're already rotten out at 20 years.
Yeah, or they've been sitting in somebody's garage for 10.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see that evolution as we see traditional OEMs sort of move back towards hybrid and sort of back foot it, but you're also still seeing change globally. So I just don't know what the adoption rate high water mark is. That's the big question for me is, without incentives from the government, what's the high water mark? Like in certain markets, obviously it's always going to be pretty high, but what do you think that high water mark is?
I think it's based on supply. The more they build, the prices will go down, or at least not go up as much. Toyota, of course, just came out with the Highlanders all electric. Plus, they have now four models of electric. So I trust Toyota with this technology more than anybody else, for sure.
Yeah, we stay shied away from forever.
Are they continuing down their hydrogen cylinders?
They are still working on it, yeah.
So that's still in their wheelhouse. They haven't abandoned that. That was their vision of not going electric, is to move their energy towards hydrogen.
Same with Honda.
On the same, where they could switch out the cells.
Yep.
Porsche and BMW also are on the hydrogen kick.
It's just an infrastructure issue. I want to pull up to a gas station and swap out just like I do my LP tank. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, the only place that you can get is the infrastructure is only in California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We're talking about the Chinese products. How are they going to meet our safety standards? That's been one of their biggest problems, hasn't it?
Well, they're global. So when you look at a brand like BYD as one that comes to mind, I mean, they're one of the largest car makers in the world now. So the challenge I don't think is if, it's a question of when. So as from an other manufacturer point of view, and I've actually been to China, so I can speak a little bit to the market, it's 40% of the global car market now. So if you're losing market share in North America as a manufacturer, and you're also losing it in China, you're in trouble. So I think you're going to see more mergers of car companies globally to compete, because you got to get that volume up. I mean, that obviously it's been subsidized, but you got to get the volume up. So I think you're going to see companies like Toyota buy companies like possibly Mitsubishi or possibly Subaru. But you're going to see some scaling, because there has to be, because they obviously made a misstep with investment, which didn't pay off. So the only option of that is to group together and say, okay, we got to continue down this road because we have no choice, because we've got to not only maintain in North America to pick a market, and Europe and everywhere else, we have to expand in the Chinese market. We have no choice, right? So that's where it's got to go, I think.
Now, it's interesting with Hyundai. Mm-hmm. My car listed for 57 and change. It's a little over a year old.
Yeah.
And with everything that I got, I have a 24-month lease for $450 a month, including tax, 15,000 miles a year. I couldn't touch a $57,000 car. But Hyundai has lowered the price.
That's that killer deal.
Price of their car dramatically. Now, are they losing money on every unit?
Well, I think to your point, and to a buddy of mine in California's point, I mean, basically, it's like we've got to make this affordable for buyers who want this option, and we've got to take some risk. And it's not that different from what BMW did with the 3 Series many years ago, where they subsidized the lease, knowing that they had to get people into the brand, and then they just hoped that it would work out on the other end. The challenge when you have a small percentage of sales in that area is that may be a challenge, but they have to figure it out, because, having a payment of $1,000 on a car doesn't make a lot of sense for most people, right?
Yeah, supposedly that's the average payment today. I don't know people afford cars today.
Oh, it's expensive.
So my car was almost 48 grand. And I did a nothing 3-year lease, 15,000 miles, $300 a month, and I charge for free.
Yeah,
that's a great deal.
That's, and then you also got to look at the maintenance side. There is less maintenance costs. There is some over the longer term, depending on the vehicle, cooling systems and batteries and other things. But from a 24-month lease program, which is obviously
rotate the tires every 7,500 miles.
Well, tires supposedly they go through.
More often. They go through them. They eat through tech.
Tires are supposedly one of the costs that people underestimate, especially if you have a Hummer EV, because of the weight of it. But
you do get more brake wear out because of the regenerative braking, so it might be a balance closer to.
I know. The Mach-E's were having delamination issues with the brake rudders, and that's not covered.
Yeah, that's not anybody else.
The same thing with their $350 12-volt battery that runs the other batteries.
Oh, like Jeeps.
That failed on me on the road, on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not under your plan. It's $350. Hey, Ian.
Yeah.
With what's going on with General Motors in China? Because didn't China kind of abandon General Motors, and General Motors lost a ton of it?
Well, the big issue in China, and I can't speak specifically, Jim, but I can speak to all the entrants in market. So in 1984 was Volkswagen entered that market in a collaborative arrangement with the Chinese manufacturer. So they were the longest in market brand. In General Motors in that market, their biggest brand is actually Buick in China. But the challenge has been as the Chinese manufacturers get better and better at what they do, they're starting to eclipse these other manufacturers who are losing market share. So the problem there is if I had 40% of my global market for car sales in that market, and I start to lose 10% or 5% a year, then it starts to impact my global sales budget. And that's the other challenge. But there was an interesting twist on that. So if I'm a manufacturer, use Tesla as an example, and I make cars in China, there's nothing to say I can't import those cars to North America as a Chinese-made product with a manufacturer if there's no tariff or limited tariff. So that's another angle. So I think there will be some opportunity there. But the other problem is they have to most of them had to partner with a Chinese manufacturer, which basically taught the Chinese how to make cars. That's basically what's happened because they learned how to make all the components. And then they learn how to make cars, and then they have a massive ability to make volume. So that obviously puts these other plants for manufacturers that aren't as big in question. I mean, part of the push from BYD and others is they have too many cars they're making. So they got to figure out a market for them. And I don't think General Motors has that problem.
Ian, by the way, this is slightly off topic, but it's going to get bigger and bigger as an issue. I read in the Wall Street Journal that some VW dealers are suing VW because they want to put a vehicle out called the Scout, and sell it directly to customers.
Yeah, I saw that this morning.
Well, Scout's been doing that though, because
It's been going on for a little while.
Yeah, they offered me a job to come to work for them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was offered a job to go to work for Scout like a year ago.
Yeah,
I passed on that.
I don't think they have a production model yet, but they're close.
Yeah, like I said, it was a year ago that they contacted me and told me they were selling cars directly to the public on their electric cars, and I interviewed with them a year ago about it, and was supposed to go to training for like 3 months with them and all kinds of other things, and I passed on the job.
I believe, David,
for you guys.
I believe that David, I believe that the Volkswagen dealers somehow got it in their mind Scout would go to them.
Yeah,
right. A lot of them were preparing, land and buildings, and kind of caught them up. Maybe they weren't paying attention, or maybe it was wishful thinking, but that kind of upset them.
I mean,
but it's like Volvo and Polestar
5 years ago, though, that they were coming out with Scout. I mean, I was at Volkswagen at Bill Jacobs when they told us about that, and I mean, that was probably 6 years ago when they told us about Scout was coming out of its own thing, and it was a vehicle that was going to be sold directly to the public from the manufacturer.
Well, Polestar and Volvo are the same thing, right? Like Polestar is essentially similar to the Volvo product line, but it's only electric, right? But I think they do have a dealer network. I think they had a little bit of a challenge with the Volvo dealers. So, there's nothing to say that they may not adapt that model over time. And the other one is Slate, which is the affordable pickup that's kind of like a snap together toy that you can add things to. Which
Is that Bezos?
Yeah, I think it's an Amazon funded venture, but
so yeah. That's that little truck. That's the 25 grand truck.
Yep. So that's another one that's gonna. I mean, I think the interesting thing is the low end market vehicles and electric. I mean, I'm not sure what the Scout price point is going to be, but I'm assuming it's going to be expensive.
Well, there's a market for all that stuff. What are those little like little Japanese trucks that are running around?
KEIs.
I'm sorry, what do you call them?
KEI.
Yeah, KEI. That's the smaller, the Japanese standard ones that are smaller. They're like 2/3 scale.
You see people running around with those all over the place. I got a young man that does a portable car wash. It's got a water tank on the back of it, and he runs around with a generator, and he's in business.
Yeah.
So those little trucks are very valuable, and to have those around, they're great ideas. There's rich guys are thinking about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the entry level or the lower end stuff or the creative model stuff is very interesting because when you look at big urban environments, big cities, I mean, huge vehicles like the Hummer EV are probably not very practical, right? Like that's probably
You
not the
can't drive
vehicle.
down the road. You can't get down the streets. I was in Brooklyn a couple weekends ago. I mean, you got a produce truck on the right-hand side. You're not getting through.
So I gotta quickly say this, that I wish I was more engaged, but I'm fixing to actually sign off because I have a date with Minnie, Mickey, Pluto, Donald Duck, and the whole crew with my entire family. We're gonna go on a long overdue vacation. So
Wait a minute, Russell. Are you going to Washington D.C.? Because it sounds like you just described Congress.
No, we're gonna go on a short 3-night, 4-day cruise, and then to Nassau, and then we're gonna go to the theme parks for 3 days, and then I'll be so overwhelmed. I'll be ready to come back to see all of you and catch you up on stuff. So apologies for bailing out early. Thank you, Larry. Apologies for not answering the phone. I did get your message. Had a wonderful meeting with Sheila and Tony. I sent you a message. I hope things went well.
Went okay-ish. Okay-ish. I said it went okay-ish.
Okay-ish.
Still work to do there, but yeah.
Well, you can. Sorry to do all that, but will it hold till I get back? I'll be back next Friday.
Yeah, that's good.
You sure?
Have a great trip. Yeah, no.
Safe travels and have a great trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Russell.
If no one told you they loved you and appreciated you, Dave, Russell just did. Okay.
Hey, Russell,
What?
one question before you leave. If you see Pluto, ask him if he found a portion of my head that he ate in 1983.
1983.
Yeah, 1983. Yeah, he swallowed a portion of my head.
I'll ask him and report back to you.
Disney is that a Disney cruise you're going on, Russell?
Yes.
That is a great cruise.
I have never been on a cruise in my lifetime, so yeah.
You're gonna love it.
Right, you're gonna love it.
Cruiser
You eat too much.
Well, I hope everybody and all of you are still intact, and
Try not to come back broke. Okay.
okay. I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I was glad to work with you guys.
Real quick, I've got to go as well, and I appreciate you guys inviting me on, and
Yeah, no problem.
hopefully you can invite me back next time. I'd enjoy the conversation.
You're always welcome.
Good to see you, Craig.
Thank you a lot.
I wanted to share with you guys, we were talking about China.
Yeah.
In the last 20 years, China's built 93,000 miles of highway.
Oh yeah.
In the United States, we've built 3,000 to 5,000. They went from 25,000 miles of highway in 2005 to 119,000 today. We still have less than 70,000 miles of highway in our country. So they have blown up that country with highways. Of course, the Belt and Road Initiative is what's really driving that. But, you got to put cars on those roads too. So they're ready for a huge explosion. And that's why the cars are so affordable over there. They want their population driving them.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it was interesting that you bring that up because when I was in market, I took a cab ride with a guy and I was talking to him for about 45 minutes on my cell phone. We were doing a two-way conversation with translation, but he wasn't a fan of Chinese-made vehicles. He was driving a Hyundai, so he had all kinds of questions. So, but I think that you got to remember that market is an emerging market, but it's a huge one. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I can say that infrastructure was unbelievable. I mean, just the stuff that they built is crazy. And I think you will see countries like India and other markets that are motorcycle driven become more car driven. So there's opportunity simultaneously, right?
Well, they've got entire cities.
Yeah.
Cities that nobody lives in.
Oh yeah. Like
the
real estate development. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if you do any research on it, I mean, unbelievable the number of cities that have brand new everything, and there's
millions of units.
Yeah.
Well, they also have a demographic issue because there's a lot of men and not very many women because of the one child policy.
Right.
Yeah. So there's some issues. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about the new thing about the salt ion batteries?
No, go ahead.
So I just saw it in the paper yesterday or today. So MIT came out and they have now developed, or they have the theory of it. I think they've made one, is a salt ion battery instead of lithium.
Okay.
So like table salt and ion.
Wow.
And that would dramatically cut the cost of an EV by 40%.
Oh, I don't think
Actually
EVs
get
are going
production.
anywhere. I don't think EVs are going anywhere. So
But you would no longer have the costly material for a battery anymore if they can actually make a salt ion battery work. Because we have salt mines here, salt very common.
So the lithium is coming from,
Rare earth metals.
We've actually had salt batteries for a long time. It's actually something that I came across when I was in the Navy on U.S. submarines.
Yeah.
So the diesel engines would charge the salt batteries. And that's how we run in silent mode on the submarine. So it's been there. It's just the size of them getting regulated and put into a car. And I don't think anybody really wanted the technology out there, but they've had it since, I don't know, 40s, 50s. And like I said, most of our fast attack submarines they're run on diesel. They're not run on nuclear power. But everything is a salt ion battery.
Okay.
yeah, there's actually also a new diesel sub from South Korea, which is kind of interesting, using electric. Just their use of electric battery technology to get range for a large submarine. So
Even a nuclear submarine is technically a battery submarine. It's still a nuclear to steam to electric, and it's an electric stored. It's still an electric battery that powers the submarine in silent mode on the fast attack subs and the boomers that I was on. So those particular submarines are technically a battery that's running it in silent mode again. But it's unique the way the technology works. But yeah, I heard that they had a complete electric one, but most things are diesel to electric or nuclear to steam to electric.
you don't want to run a range when you're in the middle of somewhere.
Ian, did you hear about all the bombs that Iran has blown up of ours with their buildings?
yes.
They just happen to get in the way.
Yeah, you mean they had some challenges with the fact that maybe they couldn't defend themselves? Who knew?
Now they just throw
What a thought, right?
Well, you could saber rattle a lot, but when bombs land, there's different problems.
If I may add on the lithium,
Yeah.
in 1997, the Russians discovered the largest deposit of lithium in central Afghanistan, right?
Yeah.
They didn't know how to excavate it. So when we went out there in October of 2001, from 2002 to 2005, we saw our troops saw that engineers, Corps of Engineers and everything, figured it out. And that's when China asked to come and get there. And I was in Kabul at that time. It was 2008. And General McChrystal welcomed them and sent them in there with their top of the line 300 plus engineers to excavate and help and take a portion of it. And we let the Taliban in and slaughtered all of the 300 engineers within 24 hours.
Ooh.
And now we took pretty much, it's labeled Afghanistan's lithium deposits labeled to be richer than Saudi Arabia's oil reserves. And the amount of lithium that we have imported from the region before our pullout is very, very highly significant. And that's the reason when we left, China just came in last year, 2 years ago, and contracted $500 million with the Taliban, and they're excavating the lithium, and that's what powering their EV cars at a very low cost.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely control of rare earth and other
Thank
metals.
you. Hey, Abdul, thank you for that explanation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
That was knowledge. I mean, no wonder why we wanted to spend time there.
Well, we should have never left.
Yeah. Well,
So
We just wanted to control the opium trade.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we got NATO in there in 2003 because they don't want to come in. So we bombarded Europe with opium, and they came in within 6 months.
I think that's kind of what Rhonda did to get you all on the show tonight. Some kind of narcotic. Hasn't been identified yet.
You just reminded me I had a lithium battery charging in the kitchen. That's funny.
So what's your thought on the battery technology side then? I mean, obviously control of rare earth minerals and other things are important, but what do you think the long-term strategy is on the battery side?
Aren't we? I mean, didn't a few plants get developed or they're starting to build in the USA? Any of those initiatives? I mean, I would imagine that's got to be.
I don't know that the Koreans came back to finish the job in Georgia.
No, not yet, because we deported all of the 450 of their engineers, and Christy Darling took care of them. And now Koreans got mad and said, we're not coming in. But now India just signed up with Reliance, signed in on the refinery for Houston and help get that going. That was signed up in 2024.
And then the plants got shipped out of Alabama up to Canada in the last 60 days.
Right.
They're moving where the actual battery production facilities are going to be.
In Canada?
Yeah, they're going to move them up to Canada.
A lot of moving parts.
Well, you also have the challenge, I think, with the power side, because when you look at battery production and data centers, I mean, I think that's really, I think, what the long tail game here is. How can you get the cheap energy you need to manufacture at scale, right? Which I think
small
is
nuclear reactors.
Yeah, that's why I think BYD, even though they're a car maker, they're really a battery maker, right? The car is just the end product. They started at batteries a long time ago in the 80s, I think. So when you look at the things to play globally, you have oil reserves and you have rare earth metals, but you also have just affordable power solutions. So whether it's hydroelectric or whether it's nuclear, that's where I think you're really going to see global moves in this area. Because
I would hope to see a whole different type of power source in the future, and I think that's why SpaceX was created with NASA. It's going to the H3 fuel that's on the moon and other planets and on asteroids all over. So, and that has such a low radiation level. I mean, there's almost no neuron radiation from it, and its power source is just infinite. A little small pebble of that can power a city for a year. So if we went to the H3 mining project that was thought out like 20 years ago, that's really where the future is. And realistically, technically, the United States has a power source we've never tapped into. And the Chinese took our plans and started digging into it, but they've even kind of not adapted to it because everybody still wants to make money on oil, right? And then, lithium now. But thorium is more efficient, and more abundant here in the United States. It sits underneath our beaches and our sand. And like I said, I studied that in college. We studied that in the military, and there's so many other products that we're not even tapping. There's this race right now for all this stuff going on, right? But the reality is, in another decade, if the space exploration goes like it should, that H3 is going to be the future, and there's a lot of money at.
And do you think
we're going to have to all be astronauts?
Dilithium crystals are coming, is what you're saying.
They kind of, yes. You're a Trekkie like me, aren't you?
Yep.
So what's your feeling on space? Do you think
on lithium? Also, India just got in with China to help bring in some of that and help with the U.S. Deposits of lithium through that. So we're working on that side of it too.
So do you think space exploration and bases and mining is reality within the next 10 years?
Yeah, I think it's reality. I think that they're already got the plans for it and set up for it. And they're just trying to figure out how to navigate space. It's just, the worst thing is don't mine our moon, because our moon, you whack that out of orbit, it changes everything with our weather.
Yeah.
Gravity. I mean, that's what stabilizes us. It's got to come from other planets. And we got to figure out, how we're going to be able to do that. But that's a big plan that the military has talked about, and we've talked about.
Probably a lot of stuff on Mars.
Yeah, I mean, wherever we can do it. I mean, the more
Yeah.
advanced we can get with these spaceships, and we can get these kind of space drones, which really is what they are,
Mhm.
to go and start mining, and then being able to shuttle those materials back.
Right.
But that moon base and jumping off and trying to figure it out, it's going to come down to the machines to do it, and us being able to communicate properly with satellites. I mean, we're putting up more satellites than ever before, and we're putting in so much money in all types of space stuff. I mean, there's a reason why we created a space agency, a separate part of the military. So I forget what they even call it now.
Space Force.
That's Space Force. It's a real thing.
There's a lot of that now.
Yeah.
And part of it is just mining resources in space, so we don't have to tap it out here in the Earth. And that's coming. But like I said, Elon is establishing a business for his kids' future. Let's put it that way.
And David, the places like the United States will embrace it because they all see now that it's part of national security to have control of space. One of the magical things about Elon is when there's areas that try to restrict internet against their own citizens, he can enable internet. So I think if there's that kind of profit in it down the road, and if it's that kind of considered a necessity, I definitely think you're right. I definitely think you're going to go in that direction as a necessity.
We're going to go in that direction. I mean, I remember, in TV, I'm not TV, on the submarines, we had touchscreen technology. And this is going back to the 80s. We had touchscreen technology. And, we had these handheld little computers that could do anything. We could just put it up to another computer and it would communicate it. And it would tell me how to operate it. So anything on board the sub, if I wanted to know how to use it back then, I had a little handheld and I could just go to it and it would give me all that information. It was nothing like anything the public had. And, those devices were already using Blu-ray. Nobody heard about Blu-ray back then. In fact, we didn't even call it Blu-ray in the military. But I mean, we had that back in 1988. We had Blu-ray. According to a lot of the history books, we didn't have it. We weren't using it. But it's kind of crazy that we had touchscreen technology there that we could already use to help with navigation.
David, the perception of history is always skewed by who's writing the history.
Of course, just like the Bible.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother talk. But I really think that the future is in mining space. And that's why there's such a big push. And, there's such a big allocation of money and spend in the military. And a lot of it is getting diverted back, to those areas of science. And God bless them. We're going to figure that out. And there's a whole bunch of people in China, a whole bunch of people in India. I mean, the largest concentration of Chinese scientists that you see sit here right in Illinois at Argonne Laboratory. Okay. So, I mean, there's whole housing projects where they all live at, and you see them on their bikes in the summer, and you're just like, how's there so much the Chinese and Asian community around here? Well, it's funny because in order to be a scientist, you have to be part of the Chinese military. Okay.
That's not funny.
Not funny at all.
They've been here for 20 years at Argonne Laboratory working with us. And all kinds of other labs.
Yeah, but who are they working for?
They're working for the United States. They're working for themselves, and I get it. But there's always been some global collaboration. I mean, the Buick Envision is a Chinese car that's here in the United States. And how GM got around that is simply because for, 20, 30 years, they've been in China and they have a division making cars there. The Envision was, something that they were doing. They couldn't play nice on all of them. So then they decided to go to Korea and build the Trax and the Trailblazer there. But right now the tariffs are messing with those companies, those countries. They, haven't built as many. So right now General Motors is suffering on inventory with Trax and Trailblazer inventory. And it has a lot to do with what's going on with the way we're taxing tariffs and playing with Korea. That's a major little SUV that's price effective. I mean, trying to get an SUV under $27,000, $25,000 to, have a car that people can actually afford. Whenever we mess with Korea, they mess with our supply and our cars. Yeah. It's funny how we switch and go down so many different rabbit holes.
And we're almost out of time, so I guess we got to get Mr. Larkin in since he hasn't said anything. Go ahead, Mr. Larkin.
Yeah, I got a question for George Jetson. I mean, I'm sorry, Gary Selman, if he's available.
You're killing me, Mike.
There you go. Hey, in your travels this past week, and in the service lane, and have you seen EVs prevalent on those travels you've been doing? I mean, your car is one thing, but have you seen any EVs in and about Connecticut?
Yes, I mean,
In the dealership though?
Well, I mean, at the dealership now, 5 years ago, it was hit or miss. But now, over the last 5 years, over COVID, you had a lot of remodels, and a lot of the remodels, they had to put in charging stations, and they were able to capitalize. So EV is prominent a lot of times in the front of the dealership. So you see it now. I think that the future, the dealers and the OEM, but they can never figure it out. But I would say we're 20% of the market, new car market's not that far away. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that do like to go EV. They like the no gas. They like the charging at their homes. They go to the dealership. Yeah, Tony.
That's me.
Oh, so you're watching people develop their own habits, and what has happened is that we didn't have highly skilled salespeople selling these when they first came out, and that was one of the reasons why I actually bought one, is because how could I sell service contracts if I don't know about the car? How can I train people on how to sell again to an EV? And it was a new experience because you had to get apps and you had to learn so it was a whole learning skill. And there's a lot of people that love to be first, right? So there's the problem that most dealers face is that they're not making any money. They can't make money with the EV. They can make money with used EVs, and if they strategized and started working about what kind of F&I products we could sell on EVs, they would have a profit structure. So it's becoming more and more prominent because the front of the dealership has the charging stations. So you see the electric vehicles either being charged for sale or a customer's car. So visibly it's taking off.
But their SOP is a cluster, right? I mean, they have no process.
You ask a dealer, the majority of them would say, I wish that EV would go away. It has not been a smooth transit. Maybe Toyota, but all the other manufacturers, it's been a challenge. So
that's a good bottom line right there.
Yeah.
Hey, I hear what you're saying, but for some reason last month when I look at the cross-sell report in the Chicagoland market, Tesla was the #1 new car and the #1 used car.
Wow.
Yeah. There was more used Teslas being sold last month than new Teslas.
Yeah.
By location. So if you take the top selling dealers, the top selling dealer was Tesla in the Chicago market. And what blew my mind is those ugly fucking trucks that they have. Okay, sorry, Rhonda, but they sold like over 300 of them.
That's the new Amazon truck, right?
No, I just blew my mind that it says Tesla trucks 300, and I'm like, maybe it is the Amazon truck, but I'm like, is that ugly truck or is it the Amazon truck? I don't know what it is, and maybe that makes more sense now. That
they got a lot of sitting ones in the desert. I don't think it's those. It must be the Amazon.
Well, the Amazon ones have like rounded corners. It does. It looks more like a bubble.
Got it. All I know is that I was surprised. I have a dealer who shared his cross-sell report, with me, and he added me on it. So I started doing research today, and I'm like, wait a second. We didn't buy enough Teslas for their lot, used ones. Like, we need to get more because everybody else is selling them.
70% appreciation, man. It's a huge opportunity on the used side. Huge.
Yeah. This particular store, he's like, what's my weakness? I said, start buying used Teslas.
Buy lots. Buy lots.
Nothing about.
Probably not what he expected to hear.
He did not expect to hear that, and he's not a fan, this
Well,
specific.
because they have 50% depreciation.
70,
Well-
not 50, 70%.
No, right now, first year is 50, but on lease is 70% residual.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Well, see,
Um,
Connecticut, we still won't let a new Tesla get sold. You cannot sell a new Tesla in Connecticut. And so they're still keeping the franchise laws. If you want to buy a new Tesla, you gotta go to Massachusetts, or you gotta go to New York. You can't buy it in Connecticut. So that's probably keeping a lot of the sales a little bit skewed in our market.
Yeah, right now, it makes sense to be a used Tesla dealer
Oh yeah.
in the Chicago market.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, we are out of time, shockingly. Wow. That's fast. So any final thoughts from anybody?
This is a great discussion.
20% new EVs should be a goal that most dealers need to try to achieve.
Oh yeah.
It's not going away.
Yeah, I don't think EVs are going to go back to zero. I think
No,
their
no.
demise, who killed the electric car 1 and 2, is overstated. I think if anything, you're going to see an evolution of the car. I think.
Absolutely.
Well, $4 is something in gas right now is motivating some people.
Well, it's going to get higher. I think.
That's temporary.
Yeah, I hope so.
We just released 172 barrels from
Yeah.
the reserve.
People will still buy F-250s, 350s, 450s. Americans love big gas guzzlers. It doesn't matter what the prices of gas is. They're going to buy them.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Some will buy electric, some will buy hybrids, but we'll still sell heavies.
Yeah.
I agree.
What appears to be Iran's campaign against
Well,
oil.
good night, everybody.
All right.
Good seeing everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for helping the industry get better today live.
Oh, boy.